Huawei overtakes Samsung as the top handset maker in the world. How about this story, given everything that's going on with Huawei as far as exports are concerned? This figure here is based almost entirely on the domestic Chinese market, which has rebounded sooner than the rest of the world because of the pandemic having originated there and then spreading elsewhere later on. That the domestic economy in China has bounced back a little bit faster.
They opened up earlier.
Yeah, they're back to business to a certain extent, and this has allowed Huawei, even having seen a pretty significant decline elsewhere in the world. Let's see here. Yes, domestic sales rose by 8%, but Huawei's overseas shipments fell by 27%. So, and that's the area that could fall even further, most importantly because of losing the Play Store, losing Google Apps, which elsewhere in the world matter a lot. In China, don't matter a lot. They have all the domestic apps. They don't care. There's very little Google footprint in China, which was another thing that came up in the antitrust because one of the Congress people was obsessed with the China component, suggesting that Google was more interested, that any of these brands were sort of bowing to Chinese requests and whatever else. Yeah. But anyways,
CCP.
Anyways, so domestic sales went up a little bit. Now other companies like Samsung posted a 30% drop overall because they had weak demand in markets like Brazil, the United States, and Europe. Those are huge, huge markets, of course, and those markets have been crippled. People holding on to their pennies. They're not trying to buy flagship smartphones when there's so much uncertainty in the world. So that's kind of expected, but it's allowed Huawei to kind of slip into that spot, and it just showcases the scale of the Chinese market. Enormous marketplace that on the back of that alone, and also potentially, this is speculation, but the power of patrioticness. Is that a word? Anyway, patriotism.
Sure. Yeah.
We're going to go with all of it because that conversation started to come up as Huawei was running into issues elsewhere in the world. That and we've talked a lot about the slimmer market share Samsung has almost no footprint in China, and even Apple, nothing in comparison to Huawei. So you start this. People are watching the news in China. They say everybody's boycotting Chinese products. What happens within the domestic market? That's your brand. Those are, the facilities. They're the local employer. You're going to support that brand in the face of this being presented with this type of conflict.
Right.
So you see this increase in domestic sales, not a decrease. So it's kind of there's so much interesting stuff going on right now with people's mood around technology and how technology has now become a piece, a political. It's almost representative of your stance. In India, it's something similar. It's representative of your support for a particular agenda or a particular side of a conflict. It's very bizarre. Mm-hmm. This is really brand new in tech. It's happened elsewhere in other product segments, but in tech, I've been in this now for 10 years, covering it here on YouTube in one way or another, and it's hotter right now. That subject, that topic, the patriotic component,
the loyalty,
the loyalty. I don't know if we're going to stay here, but it's also hard to see a way out. How countries attempting to own more of the process of the manufacturing of these devices, have more sovereignty over their networks and their 5G implementation. It's just, anyway, Huawei is definitely not done. They may be done in some places, but in China, they are not done. That's important to know.